Hey guys, today I wanted to give us an opportunity to practice answering some time question problems or practice problems together. So, this is your second week of working with time. Last week, you started learning how to tell time on a digital clock and an analog clock. So, hopefully, by now, you're feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. You feel like you're getting the hang of it. So, I thought we'll go over and do some practice problems together and give you an opportunity to kind of practice it with me. Um, you'll need a couple things for this time with me. You'll need either like a paper and pencil or a whiteboard and a marker if you have that at home, and also a practice clock. So, everyone should have, if you picked up the learning pack from school, you were given a paper clock to make. And so hopefully everyone's made that clock and been using that clock. If you haven't been using that clock and you have another practice clock that you've been using, go grab that. Something to write with, and then come right back here. Go ahead and pause me, go get your stuff, and then come back and then we'll work together. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten your stuff and you're back with me. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you a time the way it would look on a digital clock. Remember that a digital clock only has numbers. It does not have minute hand. It does not have an hour hand. And then you're going to show me that same time on your practice clock. Okay, so the time, this is the time on my digital clock. I want you to show me that time on your practice clock with minute hands and hour hand. Don't write that time. I want you to move the hands on your clock to show me this. Okay, so the time that I showed you, this says 1 o'clock. So on your practice clock, you should have put the hour hand at the 1 and then the minute hand at the 12. Remember, when the minute hand is touching the 12, we say o'clock. So 1 for the hour, o'clock. 1 hour, and then 2 zeros means o'clock. So that means your minute hand's on the 12. Okay? All right, good job. All right, let's do this one. So on your practice clock, go ahead and show me this time. Okay, let me get mine ready. Okay, so the time that I showed you, this says 9 o'clock. We know it's o'clock because of those 2 zeros. So 9 for the hours, 2 zeros for the minutes. So that means on your practice clock, your analog clock, your hour hand is touching the 9 and your minute hand is touching the 12 for o'clock. So 9 o'clock. Okay. Let's do one more like that. Okay, so I want you to show me this time on your practice clock. Go ahead and move the hands to show me this time. Okay, get mine ready. Okay, so the time I showed you was 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. And if on your practice time, your analog clock, the hour hand, which is kind of hidden, and the minute hand are both pointing to the 12. So this is 12 o'clock. Now, who remembers what 12 o'clock is called if it's daytime outside? It's called noon. What about if it's nighttime outside? We call 12 o'clock midnight. Okay, good job. All right, so all of those times had o'clock at the end, right? Now we're gonna work with ones that look just a little bit different. Okay, so here's your next time. I want you to show me this on your practice clock. Remember what this means with your minute hand. Don't let that trick you. Okay, I'm gonna get mine ready. Okay, so the time I showed you was 10:30. So 10 hours and 30 minutes. 10:30. So on my analog clock, that looks like this. Your hour hand is between 10 and 11. It should not be touching right at the 10. It should be kind of between those two numbers. So between the 10 and the 11. And your minute hand is on the 6 for 30 minutes. So remember, when you have an analog clock and the hour hand is between two numbers, you bounce back to the last number that it touched. So 10:30. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Okay, here's your next time. Go ahead and show me this one on your practice clock. Okay, I'm going to get mine ready. Okay. So the time that I showed you was 5:30. On your analog clock, your practice clock, the hour hand should be between the 5 and the 6 because the last number it touched was 5, so between the 5 and the 6. And then your minute hand is on the 6. So 5:30. Since it's between these two numbers, we would bounce back to the 5, grab our 5 for our hours, so 5 and then 30. Okay? All right, we're going to do one more like this. So don't let me trick you on this last one. Okay. Show me this clock on your time, or this time on your clock. Okay, I'm going to get mine ready. Okay, so the time I wanted you to show me was 2:30 on your analog clock. It should look something like this. Your hour hand should be between the 2 and the 3, and then your minute hand is on the 6. Okay, so between 2 and 3, your minute hand is on the 6. Remember, we would bounce back to the 2 to get our hours of 2, and 30 minutes means that minute hand is on the 6. Okay? Right, good job. Hopefully, you did good on those. All right, so next, we're going to switch. So I've been writing the time and you've been showing me on your clock. Well, now I'm going to show you some times on my clock, and I want you to write them down. Okay? So, I want you to write down either on your paper or your whiteboard, what time is my clock showing? Remember, look at your hour hand and your minute hand. What time is on my clock? Okay, so if we look at my clock, I'm going to try to write and talk at the same time. First, we look at the hour hand. The hour hand is pointing to 11, so I know that I have 11 first. Okay. My minute hand is pointing to the 12, and I know that means o'clock. So 11 o'clock, and I show o'clock by writing 2 zeros. So is that right? No. What did I forget? Forgot something. I forgot my dots. Now this is right. Okay, don't forget those dots. That tells somebody that you're telling time. That tells them where the hours are. That tells them where the minutes are. So 11 o'clock. Okay. I want you to tell me, write down what time this clock is showing. What time is it on my clock? Okay, so if we look at our clock, our hour hand is pointing to the 4. So I'm going to have 4 first. And my minute hand is pointing to the 12. And when we have our minute hand on the 12, we say o'clock. So we have 4 o'clock. So when you write 4 o'clock, you should have 4 for the hours, and then 0, 0 for your minutes for o'clock, and don't forget those dots, right? Because look, without those dots, that says 400. And I'm not telling anyone 400, I'm telling someone they need to be somewhere at 4 o'clock, right? So 4 o'clock. All right, let's see. I have a feeling I am not tricking you guys about this time. What time is it on my clock? Go ahead and write that down. Okay, so if we look at our clock, for the hours, we have 8. It's touching the 8, pointing to the 8, and the minute hand is touching the 12. So 8 for the hours, and the minute hand on the 12 means o'clock. So we have 8 o'clock. If we wanted to write that down, first we have 8 for our hours. 2 zeros means o'clock. So 8 o'clock. Okay? Right now, I'm moving my minute hand to my 6. I'm going to show you that again. We have 8 o'clock. My minute hand is moving. Oh, notice what happened to my hour hand. Okay, so now my minute hand is on the 6. What time does this clock show? I want you to write this down. Okay, so my hour hand is between the 8 and the 9, but I have not gotten to that 9 yet. I'm still with the 8, right? I just left the 8, but I have not touched 9 yet. So I can't go up to 9. I've got to jump back. So my hours is 8, and the minute hand on the 6 means 30 minutes. So 8:30. Remember, I got 8 because it's my hour hand is between two numbers, but I haven't touched that 9 yet. So I can't say that it's 9:30. I haven't gotten here. I have to bounce back to the 8. So 8:30. So if I were to write that down the way that it would be on a digital clock, I have 8 for my hours, my 2 dots that are so important, and 30 minutes. So 8:30, just the way you say it. Oh, that clock shows 8:30? 8:30, okay? All right, let's do another one. Okay. What time is on this clock? Go ahead and write that down. What time does this clock show? Okay, let's look at this together. So my hour hand is between two numbers again. It's between 12 and it's between 1. Remember, when it's between two numbers, you have to bounce back. So I'm going to bounce back to the 12 for my hours. Let me show you that again. My hour hand is between 12 and 1. I'm going to bounce back to the 12. And my minute hand is on the 6. And I know that means 30. So I have 12:30. So when I write that down, I'm going to write it just the way I say it. 12:30. Okay, 12 for my hours and 30 for my minutes. Okay, one more. Time is on this clock. What time is it? Go ahead and write this time down. Okay, if we look at this together, our hour hand, again, it's between two numbers, so that means I'm going to have to what? I'm going to have to bounce back. So my hour hand is between the 3 and the 4. I'm going to bounce back to the 3. So my hours will be 3. And the minute hand is on the 6. Remember, that means 30. So 3:30. My time is 3:30. When I write that down, the time is 3 hours, 30 minutes. 3:30. Don't forget your dots. Okay? All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got for right now. I hope that helped make a little bit of sense for you, gave you a good opportunity to practice. If you feel like time is difficult for you or you're having a hard time understanding it, please email me, send me a message, call me, text me, send me a Bloom's message, however you need. If you feel like you're just having a hard time with it and you need some help, okay? I'm here for you. I love you. I miss you. I hope you have a great day. All right. See you soon. Bye, guys.